So I had somebody reach out to me and ask me if I've ever won a tournament. And my response to that is I've never won a professional level event, but I have won all kinds of local events and regional events. For the most part, those are team events, being that that's primarily what we have in our area. Other than the BFLs, we did have the weekend series for a little while, 1 year or 2 years maybe, and I was 1 for 1 in those, so I did win the one event that I fished. That was a weekend series, but I have not won a professional level event, and it's bugging me. I have put myself in the position multiple times to come away with the trophy, and I have not capitalized, and that's one thing that really bugs me, is that I consider myself a really good closer. At the the upper Midwest, I feel like I have a very good track record of winning tournaments. And the events that I've had a shot at the professional level, I have not executed. And that really bugs me. And I realize to win tournaments, you have to execute. You have to put the fish in the boat. But man, I've had some of my worst days at the professional level have been in events where I was on the fish to win. And, there's 3 events that I feel like I had a very legit shot at winning. 2 of them were based on execution. The third event was a few years ago on the Mississippi River. We had some really bad conditions roll in. The river flooded. It was extremely cold conditions during a spawning phase, and that front hit the first day of the event. Actually, we had rain that happened on our off day, and then the front hit the first day of the tournament, and I was able to lead. I was leading after the first day. I had 18 pounds, and I finished up inside the top 10 for that event. But really what happened is, the conditions just changed. And when I say conditions, the water got muddy and the water rose about 4 feet. And the areas I had been fishing were just completely destroyed. And, that's really a fault on my part for not having a better backup plan, because I kind of knew that was going to happen. I just thought I might be able to make it through the event. It didn't happen. So I'm bummed about that tournament, but at the same time, it just didn't work out. The other 2 events that really get me because my execution was bad was the 2018 U.S. Open, One Bass U.S. Open out on Lake Mead. That was an event I had very little. I didn't even know if I was going to fish the tournament, and I ended up driving out there the day before practice ended. So I was able to get out for like 3/4 of a day of practice, and I actually just jumped in the boat with Luke Lawson, and we took his tin rig way up the Colorado River. It was more of an exploration outing than anything, and I basically just winged the tournament. And the first day of the event, we were blown off, so it was canceled. Day 2, I went out. I want to say I was in 3rd or 4th place after the first day with just under 13 pounds, which, on Lake Mead during the U.S. Open is a really good weight. And I felt really good because the quality of fish I was catching was just really good for that place. And, with the second day, we went out, and I had seen like a 3.5 pounder the first day that I couldn't get to bite, but I started on that fish the second day, and like my 3rd cast, I had him eat a topwater, and I fought him halfway back to the boat, and he jumped a couple times and eventually pulled off. And, that happens, but I also, I had that fish on for a long time. And we ended up I had 3 more fish that day. I want to say I had 3 for like 7 or a little over 7 pounds, 7.25 pounds. But I had one other fish on that was about a 2.5 pound smallmouth. I fought him all the way to the boat. It was on a crankbait. Fought him all the way to the boat, and the AAA partner that I was paired with that day, really nice guy, but he had no fishing abilities. And what I mean by that is he actually was there fishing the event only because he drove a buddy of his that had cancer, and the buddy, you know, on his bucket list, he wanted to fish the US Open. So the guy I was paired with drove him down to fish the event, and his buddy talked him into joining the event as well, so that he wasn't sitting around for 3 days while he was out on the water. Well, that's who I got paired with, and he really had, you know, when I say beginner level fishing experience, it was very, very beginner, to the point where he didn't even know how to net the fish. And I had this 2.5 pound smallmouth onto the boat that, I mean, I had him right next to the side of the boat for like 3 or 4 times. That would have been really basic net jobs. And finally he came up, and I was kind of coaching him through a lot of this once I realized that he wasn't really familiar at all without a net. And at one point I brought the fish up, and I'm like, next time he comes up, just scoop him up. And it was probably my mistake, because what he ended up doing was like jabbing at the fish and caught the crankbait on the outside, and then we had the smallmouth hung on the outside of the net. And at that point I said, just swing him in the boat, and he got him about, I don't know, halfway to the boat. You know, he was about 1.5 feet out of the water, and the fish pulled off. And those 2 fish, that 2.5 pound smallie and the 3.5 pound largemouth, would have been enough to give me the win in that US Open event, which, I mean, that is the 3rd highest paying tournament, or 3rd or 4th highest paying tournament on a yearly basis. I think it paid $150,000. So that one really burned, just because I had the fish on, and they were both pretty dang close to coming inside the boat. The other tournament that I truly feel like I should have won was the 2017 FLW Tour Beaver Lake event. That was another flood condition tournament. The lake rose, I want to say 9 feet while we were there. And I got onto a little deal. I mean, I basically was just fishing the bank with the water that was rising, but I concentrated on largemouth. And the first day of the event, I think I weighed like 10.5 pounds, but I should have had 15 pounds easily. Like, I mean, I had 3 or 4 big fish that day that I lost, 3+ pound class fish. Day 2, I went out and I caught, I want to say like 12.5 pounds, which again, for Beaver Lake, these are very stout bags. Made the cut. I want to say I was in the like 8th place, 6th or 8th place going into day 3. And I had one of the worst execution days I've ever had. Like fishing, fun fishing, tournament fishing, doesn't really matter. I lost 7 fish that day that were all, when I say at least 2.5 pounds, they were all more like 3 pounds or bigger. I mean, I just could not. I was wrapping them up in trees. I was wrapping them up, hanging them in bushes. They were just jumping. I mean, like, I'd fight them all the way boat. They'd jump off. I had 2 pull off right at the net. I mean, these were very nice caliber fish. I mean, I had one that I set the hook on a jig, and I mean, I fought him all the way to the boat, and then had the net in one hand, and I mean, he's just like laying there, and I went down, and he just pulled off right before the net got there. But those, had I landed any of those fish, I ended up weighing a limit that day for like 5 pounds. I mean, it was nothing. I had tiny little spotted bass. And had I caught, you know, that 15 to 17 pound bag with the fish that I lost the first day, I potentially had enough weight to win the event with three days worth of fish. I mean, that's how good those caliber fish were. And on day 4, the lake continued to come up, and if I recall correctly, everyone struggled. I think Johnny McCombs, who won the event, I think he had 2 fish. I mean, it was really very, very poor fishing that final day. But here's the kicker. I went out that final day. They had I want to say it was FLW was hosting a charity event that final day. And I took out a woman who worked with Walmart, and it was like a 3-hour tournament that we hosted. And in that 3 hours, I was doing the exact same thing in generally the same area that I had been fishing. And I think we had like 5 keepers, or we came in contact with 5 keepers during those few hours while everyone else was out there struggling. And I feel extremely confident that, I would have been able to go out and catch some fish that would have easily given me a win. And like I said, had I just boated the fish from days 1 and 3, I would have had enough weight to potentially win that tournament in 3 days. So it is what it is. I'm not, by no means am I complaining. I am answering the question that somebody reached out to me with. So I have not won a tournament yet. It does not sit well with me. I do think my time is coming. I think it could happen in any event. It just goes to show you how much execution matters. I mean, within our sport, there is such a fine line between success and failure. I mean, I'm talking 1 fish, not necessarily 5 or 7 fish like I had in those couple of events, but 1 fish can take you from having a really good tournament to putting you at the bottom of the pack. And that's something I love about the sport and something I hate about the sport. But I think we've all got stories like this. That's part of fishing. You don't catch them all. They get away. So if you've got some good examples too of tournaments that you definitely had a shot at winning, please leave a comment. I'd like to hear about it. It definitely, I think, makes everyone feel warm and fuzzy to know that there's other people out there that know the feeling that you've gone through in instances like this. So I think this year it's going to happen. I feel good about that. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for letting me complain a little bit to you and have a little bit of just a mental session with you. But anyway, stay tuned. We've got more videos coming.